Hey there, boys and girls of the YouTube world. You ever wanted a C3 Corvette with steel bumpers? That's right, 72 last year, steel bumpers front and back. I've always wanted one, but they're super expensive. So I bought the cheapest freaking one on Facebook Marketplace. And the reason it was so cheap is because that's the frame rail. Let's grab the welder, a whole bunch of square tubing, and see if we can't get this thing running and driving for the first time in 37 years. So if you want to see how we turned the rustiest 1972 Corvette into this, not quite the rustiest, crappiest 1972 Corvette on Facebook Marketplace, stick around and find out. There's going to be a whole lot of welding and exhausting and braking and grinding and everything else. But it's pretty good. I mean, it's better. I like it. That's all that matters. Do your welds look like Ray Charles did it with his feet? Well, head on over to mortske.com and get your, if you can't weld good, weld a lot banner, now live at mortske.com. So I've always had a hankering for a Corvette, especially a C3, because they seem like they're one of the more affordable ones. They got kind of a cool look, and after working on DB's 1975 C3 race car, I finally decided I need to scratch that itch. Part of scratching that itch is I wanted a steel bumper car. So this is a 1972, last year of the steel bumpers front and rear. 1973, you could get a steel bumper on the rear only. And after 1973, they all had silly plastic bumpers. And the prices reflect that steel bumper cars are a lot more desirable. So not only did I want a steel bumper car, I wanted one that was affordable and needed a little bit of work, and they kind of go hand in hand. So as you'll notice, this car's got flat tires. Not a big deal, right? Well, the other thing is, see how that wheel's got not much of a gap right there? We got a real big gap back there. See how that gap is pretty uniform on this side? The frame is absolutely rotten on this thing. But it is a steel bumper car, and Duff says it was in our price range. So we loaded this thing up. So let's go back in time to Austin, Minnesota, the home of Spam, and we loaded this thing up. Now that you know the backstory, let's get some rollers on this thing so we can move it around. I did scrounge up some 5-spoke, big old Goodyear Polyglass L6015 fatties in a unilug. We'll see if we can clear these on this Corvette. What do you think, Duff? Gonna have to stick with the 8-inch rallies. Hopefully it doesn't break in half when we jack it up, but the good news is we don't have to fix any rust on the body because it's fiberglass. It's basically a boat. And I'm kind of worried about this rotten frame because the frame holds the body together, and if the frame is busted and all the weight of the back half of the frame, or the rear end especially, because that's a pretty heavy component, is hanging from the body, it's going to want to crack out that fiberglass. So I don't know what to do other than to just listen for cracking. And then I'm going to ram the jack handle right into the quarter panel. Well, I don't hear anything. I don't know what these slotted wheels are. Hopefully we can find some markings on the back. These white letter BF goodies are real good.
Really nice.
I'm not a white letter guy, but vintage white letters, they're awesome. Unilug. Don't kill me. Oh, Corvette. Oh, spacers. Oh, it's just the trailing arm. I thought the frame was rotten. I'm not seeing any markings on the wheel, so the origin is unknown. We don't even need to replace the frame. Well, I definitely don't have a trailing arm for a C3 Corvette on hand, but let's see if we can make this thing roll so that we don't damage it anymore by a tire that doesn't roll and is pushing and pulling on that trailing arm. So what is keeping this thing from rolling? How do you take Corvette calipers off? We're gonna need some brake lines as well. So yeah, there's no shoes in the calipers. No point taking those off. Why does it not turn? Kinda wants to. Turns a little bit. See what I see? It's pulling on the park brake cable. Is that what's catching? The park brake? Park brake cables are caught, but it's still binding on the inside of the rotor. So let's take this thing apart, see if we can get this thing rolling. No pads, no stopping power. All right, what holds this rotor on now? Rust I'm gonna need to get myself one of them Corvette manuals so I know how to take my brakes apart. Just kidding. Corvette guys don't work on their own car. They take it in on Sunday to get fixed while they're out golfing. So I did some research on the old YouTube box. And apparently they're supposed to come right off. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna give it some heat. I'm thinking maybe it's stuck on the hub here, but more than likely it's just stuck on that park brake, and that's why it won't come off. Tech tip of the day, don't store your C3 Corvette at the bottom of Lake Erie. Oh yeah, that did nothing. As I pry on the rotor, I could see the trailing arm going sideways. It's not good. How are we gonna get that apart? Let's try the big boy hammer. We're making progress, I think. I have dealt with a lot of struck drum brakes. I don't know that I've ever had a stuck disc brake, and I've never had a parking brake kick my butt like this. We will prevail. We will triumph over the evil that is rust. Success. Let's see if it turns. Ugh. It's been a while. It doesn't want to, but it does. Yes. We got an automatic. We don't need no stinking park brakes. Maybe that's why this car was parked. Somebody applied the park brake. Oh yeah. It'll come out of it. Now I gotta see if a 5-spokes will fit. Probably why the parking brake went bad is they put that stupid wheel spacer on there. Anybody need some numbers matching 1972 Corvette C3 park brake parts? Hit us up, mortskerepair@gmail.com. No low ballers. I know what I got. Oh, this looks so good. I should have checked to see if they held air first, but if we got it, we'll tube them later. Clearly the old poly glasses have rubbed a few times and are not exactly safe for the street, if you know what I mean. Oh, is it gonna fit with the wheel being so far ahead in the hole? We're gonna find out. I think it'll go. Oh, it's so good. These are also unilugs, so let me go see if I can find some washers and some lug nuts, because these ones are not the right ones for the application. Have I said how good they are? So good. Also, this factory color is Ontario orange. Fun fact of the day, it is the most common color. So when I go showing off my ratty Corvette at all the local car shows, I'm gonna be like, this thing is one of 13,784. The most common color made in 1972, Ontario orange. One thing I don't like about Ontario orange is it's named after a Canadian city, and DD Speed Shop is from Canada. But he doesn't have a Corvette. I would totally stomp his Bricklin with this thing. Shout out to Jeff and the boys at Lug Nut Guys. Go check them out, lugnutguys.com. All orders over 35 bucks are free shipping every day. And with promo code Mortske, all orders are free shipping no matter the dollar amount. So head on over to Lug Nut Guys, support them because they support us. They support my lug nut infatuation. ET's got this cool oval center cap. The only guys that did that. I should have known that, but I forgot. Oh, I hate unilugs. Freaking sweet. Let's let it down, see how she looks. Oh yeah. I'm guessing with Duff and I in there, it's probably gonna rub, but maybe we could put some spacers or something. Anyway, these are just to make it roll. It should be fine. Write your local legislators and tell them to bring back cool white letters, and then I will approve white letters. These slot-looking wheels, though, I do not approve of. They're probably super valuable to some Corvette guy. So one of the caliper bolts snapped off, and now I can't get the caliper off because the bolt snapped off not far enough in for the caliper to clear, so great. Not only do we have to get that bolt out of there, we can't get the caliper off until we get that bolt out of there. Or until we make that bolt a little bit shorter. It's currently identifying as a stud or an alignment dowel, neither of which it's designed to be. Go buy the rustiest old Corvette on Marketplace. It'll be fun, they said. The bolt's gotta come out, so I don't wanna torch it, and I don't wanna cut it off any further. This caliper's shot, so let's just torch the caliper. I don't know if we had to do any torching on DB's Corvette, but I can't say I've ever torched on a Corvette, and I've definitely never torched a caliper off at the rear of a Corvette. We just weld that ear back on, it'll be fine. All right, whack away. Just beat it. Goodness gracious. The good news is the trailing arm isn't rusted out on this side. The bad news is the rotor is significantly more stuck on the park brake than it was on the last side. If it's taking this much work just to make this thing roll, I can only imagine how the rest of the project's gonna go. I'm sure that engine will just spin right over when we throw a battery in it. Oh yeah, the rest of that frame, it's fine. Are you kidding me? All that beating and I just slid it off with my bare hands. That's how freaking strong these mitts are. And park, brake, delete. Get on out of there. Be gone. Good riddance. Oh, is this turn now? Freaking better. Because I ain't got no spare Corvette rear ends around. I think it'll go. That was 0 PSI is holding up the weight of this car. You know why? Because not only are these tires old and hard, it's because this Corvette weighs like 1,800 pounds. Okay, I totally pulled that number out of my rectum. So I guess it was hit in the back corner here. There's a little bit of damage, and so he just started taking this all apart, and the fuel tank was rotten. So we dropped that out of there, and that's what's going on back here. That's why we don't have any bumpers or tail lights. But he did label everything, and he tagged and bagged all the hardware, so that's nice. I think I'm just gonna, you know, maybe throw some super glue in there and put it all back together. No big deal to me. Now I gotta figure out what we're gonna do in the front. I was just gonna tube this rally and maybe find a beauty ring and a center cap, but I feel like we gotta church it up a bit to match the back. I'm not a big fan of mismatched wheels. Like I know a lot of guys ran slots or spokes on the back and steelies in the front, but I don't know if I can do it. To be honest, I really like these cars with 8-inch rallies all the way around, but I wanted to play around with it a little bit, so see what we can find. I'm gonna show them what parts we got with this thing, Duff. We got new stainless fuel lines. Like I said, he took the fuel tank out. There's some liquid in there, I suppose. Very, very old fuel. He bought a new fuel tank, then I guess his brother dropped a hay bale on it. I don't know if the hay bale was wrapped in steel or what, but it might work. They're $250, so we should probably just buy a new one. But anyway, that's how he was gonna get it on the road, was a fuel tank and some fuel lines. I guess he wasn't worried about the control arm or the brakes or any of that stuff. But we got the rear bumpers, and we also got everything tagged and bagged. Oh, he didn't tag that because it's a marker light. But there's the antenna ground because it's a fiberglass car, and the theft alarm lock, and all kinds of other goodies. Race car fuel cap. This thing's gonna be a good ride. I know I say I hate white letters all the time, but if they made white letters like this, I'd run them. All right, see how it looks. Oh, that fills that wheel well out perfectly. Look at how freaking killer that thing looks. That is one tough SOB. I was just talking to Chin earlier. Imagine having a brand new Monte Carlo 1972 or a Chevelle or a Camaro, and this guy shows up, especially with some 5 spokes and some big old fatty white letters on it. You don't stand a chance, buddy. Man, that thing is freaking sharp. It's pretty amazing what a set of wheels and tires will do. And these are just crappy old wheels and really crappy old tires. Let's take a look at the bottom side of the rustiest Corvette known to man. The old air dam valance stuff here looks like it's pretty good shape. It's not rusty because it's plastic and fiberglass. It's kind of interesting. We were looking at this the other day, how the grill is inset There's supposed to be a license plate bracket there, but I think it would look a lot cooler if this thing was flush with the rest of the grills. But anyway, that's the way it was in the 1972 Corvettes. So there's a cross member slash mount here that it mounts that valance or air dam, and she's a little rusty over here on the driver's side. But it really doesn't do a whole lot other than hold this air dam and hold your radiator up, which also looks like the radiator is just about rusted through. This front cross member is starting to rust jack, but I don't think it's compromised. I mean, it's structural, but it ain't that bad yet. We got our structural screwdriver testing device here. It's good. This, not so much. We'll just vent out the old stuff. No big deal. No big deal. All the bushings are pretty well cooked out of it. They seem fine now, but you get about an oil change on it, and then they just all completely deteriorate. Same thing with the sway bar end links. Looks like somebody tried taking this caliper off up front here and snapped the mounting bolts off. So that's nice, but the nice part is there's a stamped steel bracket here bolted to the spindle, kind of like an adapter. I should be able to take that off to get that caliper off of there. Of course, these got the Ram Assist power steering, and it's leaking power steering fluid everywhere, like they do. So now would be a good time to upgrade all of that to something a whole lot better. Frame's good, oil pan's good, inspection cover. The mice have been playing cornhole in there. Back side of the cross member is not as nice as the front, but again, for restoration purposes, not good. But, you know, for beater Corvette, we're probably all right. Check this out, though. You know what that is, Chin?
400.
It's a 400, and they never put a 400 in a Corvette. See what that is? That's the bottom pulley.
Oh, man.
That is the bottom pulley on the crankshaft. Yeah, definitely not a numbers matching engine because they never come with a 400. And she's pretty rotten. So I scratched off the numbers when I looked at this thing to see if it was numbers matching, and I couldn't get any numbers. But looking at this, I don't even need to know the numbers. That is a 400. This thing's got 122,000 miles and a replacement engine. But it's got the finest replacement engine, the largest small block made. It's also got the Kmart K3 oil filter on it. Oh yeah. It's got the factory guards for the spark plug wires that would go behind the ram horns manifold that are not here. This is what DB should have. These things are kind of neat. And then also the plug wires sneak underneath the engine mount to go up there. So that's why nobody puts those back on, because it's a real treat. So the shifter is kind of free on the inside, and part of that is because there's nothing hooked up to it. And this end actually rusted off. Maybe that cable is okay, but it looks pretty rusty there, so we're gonna need some shift cables. It does have a Turbo 400 in it. I did not know they put these in Corvettes, but again, I'm not a big Corvette guy, so. And it's pukey leaky like every turbo hydromatic automatic transmission that I've ever dealt with. Fiberglass floor pans, so of course they're all solid. Looks like the bolts rusted off and this strap rusted off for this shield or protector. Frames, good over here. Transmission cross member is good. A lot of scale on it, but I've seen worse. Looks like there was some type of, oh, that's probably the seat belt? No, that was for the park brake cable to run through. That bracket rusted off. The old concourse restoration, I think, is out of the question on this thing, but we can beat the crap out of it and have fun. Frame's good. And then we get to this cross member back here. And then we get to where this cross member is not back here. So right about here, the frame squeezes in and there's a cross member that goes left to right. It also supports, I believe, the pinion on the rear end. I'm not really sure. But anyway, it's not supporting anything. So we either gotta find a new frame, risk our lives and operate it this way, or try to patch that up. So yeah, it's also really rotten where the frame rails meet this cross member over here. not to mention our trailing arm. So yeah, well, that's why it was the cheapest steel bumper Corvette on Marketplace. The rear end is pretty rusty, spring's pretty rusty. I mean, nothing crazy. It's rusty, but that stuff all bolts in. This cross member back here is mostly pretty good, but it's a little rotten there. So I'm not super concerned about this cross member because there's a transmission cross member 2 feet ahead of it, and then 2 feet behind it is this cross member right here, which I guess these were to hold the spare tire. So, you know, other than the part that it's supposed to hold the rear end, I think we could get away with minimal repairs, but we'll have to see what we can come up with. So fiberglass cars, usually when you get a metal car that's hit, they get full of Bondo and chicken wire and everything else. Well, being fiberglass, you got to use fiberglass and Bondo. So this side's really good, or mostly really good, but you can see where the fiberglass has been reworked back in here. And there's also a square nut on this bumper bracket slash body mount, and that wouldn't have been factory in 1972. GM, I don't think, was using square nuts. And then you can see this is where it's cracked out. It's been fixed here once before in the fiberglass. You can see some remnants there. So it's hit pretty lightly on the rear. Also, this cross member for the rear bumper has got a little bit of a bow to it. And I noticed the bumper bracket for this side sitting out on the table that there was another square nut in there. So these were a fancy body shop. So what they had done, instead of straightening this cross member, they just put a giant square nut in there and spaced the bracket out to hold the body and the bumper. So yeah, and you can see where this doesn't touch the license plate bracket. So this whole cross member needs to go back about a ½ inch. Not a big deal. This side got hit a little bit harder. There's a lot of fiberglass work going on in here, a little bit over here, and then also they tore up this, and that's all reworked fiberglass and body filler. So obviously, you know, fiberglass bends pretty easy and there's not a lot of structure here. So it was a pretty low impact hit, and the repairs were subpar, not the worst, but definitely not the best. So obviously the worst part is the rusty cross member. So we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do there. So it's kind of been a roller coaster. Bought a cheap, crappy Corvette, saw it had a rusty trailing arm, was like, oh, we can fix that. Saw the rusty cross member. So the good news is it's got a tag on our rear end, and that is a posi tag, or a limited slip differential fluid tag. So it's got a limited slip, which not all Corvettes had, but it seems like they're a lot more common than other cars, obviously, because they're a sports car, which is pretty neat because this is a very, very base model. Spent a little time digging through the old rusty Vette, and let me show you what we found inside of the said Corvette. So of course all this stuff was in there. The guy bagged and tagged all the taillights and the hardware, so that's pretty cool. I think everything is there that he took off the back end.
Sure, right.
Here's the bumper brackets. Still got the GM parts tag on there. There's the square nut spacer on the bumper brackets I was talking about. That's not factory. Found the factory jack, found the factory tool for turning up said jack. Here's the shields for the spark plug wires. They're chrome, pretty neat. Maybe those will clean up. Look at these. This is the original Delco battery covers, I guess, plugs. And they got the hole for the vent, and then you hook your vacuum line out of that and vents it out of the car. So because the battery was in the passenger compartment, they wanted to vent that outside, so they had these special plugs that went in the Delco batteries, and you hook the vacuum hoses up to it, and it vented the battery gases outside of the car, so it was out of the passenger compartment. So how neat is that? And then they left those in there all these years. Also found a battery hold down. Here's all the knobs for the radio that we don't have. Debouché 27 naturally flavored cordials, all irresistible. I don't know what that is. It's an ice scraper, but anyway. Super America wet wipes. Some more wet wipes. I don't know what this guy was doing in there. Eating a lot in his car, or who knows. And then all these bumper stickers. Wisconsin, you're among friends. And then of course, you know, you gotta have a tube sock when you're a Corvette guy. Again, Green Bay Packers colors, Wisconsin things. Tell you what, if you head to mortske.com, get yourself a decal. We're gonna throw these Wisconsin, you're among friends bumper decals in with some orders. Bonus points if you order a Mortske Repair bumper decal. We'll probably throw these in with other bumper decals if we can. So go check it out, mortske.com. This is the best though. I'm pretty sure he had some jean shorts and he cut the legs off them, you know, because they were jeans, and he made them into shorts. And then he wrapped his lug nuts up in them. Anyway, that's all the stuff that was in there. And then there's this strap. I don't know if that's something to do with the T-tops or that's some kinky thing. I don't know what that's for, but that was in there. Comment down below if you know what that's for. Wrong answers only. So anyway, that's all the stuff that we found in there. I'm kidding. There's a fuel sender and a fuel cap and basically all the stuff to put this bent up fuel tank in there. Straps, a protector, everything you need, except for a fuel tank that isn't beat to hell. All right, so I put out a call out on Facebook. Follow us at Mortske Repair. And Torino Tony said, I got a buddy named Scott who's got a 73, and he's putting a 9-inch in the back because he's a drag car guy and wants to go fast in a straight line. So he's got all the stuff from a run and driving Corvette to put in the back of your car to make it drive again. Not everything, but I mean, you get it. Rear end, let me show you. So we got a 355 posi rear. We got some good rotors that haven't been smashed with a hammer. We got the cross member for the rear end. We got the trailing arm with the wheel bearing and park brakes, all that good stuff. We got a leaf spring, the other trailing arm. He said he's got 1 summer of runtime on these calipers. He's got the adjustable bars for adjusting your camber, the drive shafts, the gas adjust, shocks, pretty much everything we need for the back end. So that's what we're gonna do now is pull this rear end all apart and get it so that we can fix that cross member, because I have verified that that cross member holds the rear end from tipping. And then we'll put all of Scott's stuff in there, and the back end should be better. Hopefully we don't burn the shop down taking rusty bolts out. So I picked that up on Saturday, and from that same Facebook post, on Sunday, we went to, I think it was a Stark, Minnesota. If you're ever in the area, stop at the Full Moon Bar. It's an old schoolhouse, turned into a bar. There's a couple of those around here. A lot of banks and schoolhouses get turned into bars, apparently. But anyway, that guy responded, it's like, hey, I'm clearing out an estate for my buddy, helping his widow out, and I got a twin to your car. Orange, 72, and rusty. Should we go show him? So anyway, this guy had a bunch of projects, bought this car. The guy had known about this car locally, had been running around, and apparently it was parked for a rusty frame. So he picked up a 68 frame that had a good 327 and stuff in it, and they put that in a different car, and they were gonna put the frame in it. In the meanwhile, the 68 frame is no good. As you can see, it's kind of folded in half. It does have the spare tire clamshell thinger. That tips down and you get your spare tire in and out. The cross members are, I don't even know about good. There isn't much there. The rally wheels are the best part. This has been all cobbled up and welded. You can tell the frame is shot. I mean, we could maybe use that cross member. It's a little thin on the bottom. It's better than what we got. I think we're gonna cut this frame up. Well, clearly it's not worth saving. It is a 68, so kind of an oddball 1 year only. But yeah, we got some rallies. I think those are only 7s though. Yeah, those are 7s. They're not very deep right there. But here it is, literally, Ontario orange, same car, but even rustier. Hoo-hooey in the fender. Never mind the Kmart white wall keystones. That's the frame, and that's the body mount. She's smoked. But see how the rallies are deeper here? Those are 8s. This one's got the leather interior. It doesn't have tilt. It does have an AM/FM radio, automatic, and this car's got AC, where the other one does not. So we got AC out of the deal, but it doesn't have power windows, so that's a plus. So we got upgraded seats, downgraded column, upgraded heat. This is gonna be a parts car. She is cooked. That's all the car that fell out of my fiberglass car. That's all rust. There's the leaf spring hanging down there horizontally where it shouldn't be. It's rough. Yard art, right, Duff? But anyway, it's a good parts car for what we got going on. And we'll get some pieces off the frame, get some rally wheels, stuff like that. Wait, is that an 8? It's a little bit deeper right here than this one. Are those even 15s, Duff? Check them out. They say 15 or 14. Oh, that's a 15. So they made 14 by 6 and 15 by 6 and 15 by 7 and 15 by 8 that I know of, and then there's some aftermarket ones. But anyway, 15 by 8s are obviously the most desirable, and they came on Corvettes. So let's get a rear end out of the way, and then we'll probably cut that frame in half so that we can get it unloaded. I don't know how we're gonna unload the other car because we can't pick it up. It does roll really well for some odd reason, but anyway. Don't buy a Corvette because it just goes down a rabbit hole, and next thing you know, you own 2 1/4 of them. I just got them because Ontario orange is Duff's color. Looks just like you, buddy.
Today on Chop Cut Rebuild.
Here's what we need. We need a better one, but it's the best one we got. On the struggle bus getting the rear end out of this thing. The two trailing arm bolts, you can't hit, let me show you. They're stuck, they're rusty, imagine that. So this trailing arm, which Mojo cut this side already, we gotta go cut the other side. We can't really get at that thing to hit it, and we can't get in there to get any heat, so I think we're gonna cut these suckers off and then try to get some heat in there without burning this car to the ground, and see if we can't get them out of there, but they don't wanna budge. We stripped down this 68 frame that was supposed to be good, that we knew wasn't good when we got it. And all I really need is, I guess we're calling it the third cross member, that guy right there. And that thing is absolutely cooked. I could put a plate on the bottom, but it's rusty on the front. Not only is it rusty on the front, it's rusty on the back side. And all we really need this cross member for, other than to tie the two frame rails together, which those two cross members should do a fine job. That one rotted out so long ago that they bolted in a replacement. But we need this cross member for this tab right here that locates the rear end, keeps the pinion from tipping down. And would you believe it? Somebody's been here and welded it up before. Not only that, they've been here and fixed this. They've fixed this. There's some plates in here. This thing is garbage. It's not even worth trying to patch that together. We'll just make something out of dimensional, and we'll steal that little bracket off of there, and the rest can go wait for the scrap iron guy. Also looks like she's had some damage there, it's not good. Not good at all. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and block the car up so that it can't move, and we're just gonna start cutting and placing it all back together with some dimensional tubing. And by dimensional, I mean 2x3, 2x2, 4x4, whatever kind of tubing we can make work. So let's cut up a Corvette frame. Another Corvette frame. So here's the game plan. That's right, I got a game plan. Is it gonna go according to the plan? Likely. Got the entire weight of the car sitting on jack stands, 2 on each side, and then I stuck some structural steel back here. So that's gonna hold everything up back here, plus it's bolted to the body when we go ahead and cut everything out up here. Hopefully I don't regret not putting more structure back there. We're gonna find out. There shouldn't be much weight back there, and plus the body should be holding the frame. If it's not, we're gonna have bigger issues. All right, let's get to cutting. It'll give us some room for activities for not only cutting, but also welding and splicing a frame back together. Now let's take that trim piece off. You can see almost the entire height of the frame now. Yeah, the frame goes up to about there, so there's another 1.5 inches or so of the frame you can't see. This rear frame rail is inset from the main frame rail, and that's why the main frame rail ruts out, is because all the dirt comes right here and there's an abrupt stop and it sits right there, you know, because it goes to the back of the frame rail because of all the forward thrust the old Corvette horsepower machine has. That's also why they rot out down here, is because all the dirt from in here falls down to there, rots out that crossmember. So what we're gonna do is, there's a gusset here, and we're gonna cut that loose of that crossmember, we're gonna cut that crossmember out. I'm just winging it, so whatever I say now might not be what we're gonna be doing in 15 minutes, much less at the end of this project. So I think we're gonna replace this crossmember, and then we're gonna go ahead and tie this rear frame to that crossmember, and then we're gonna have to somehow figure out how to tie the front frame rail to that crossmember in the rear frame. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna start cutting because it's already screwed up. Can we make it any worse? Yeah, probably. Crossmember delete. You can't haul anything with a lowered pickup. Got ourselves some dimensional steel so we can make a Corvette frame. So we got some 2.5 inch by 3/16 wall, and then we got some 2 by 3/8 inch wall for the crossmember, and then we had some random 3/16 drop off plates that we can use to make gussets and such out of. So shout out to Dick at Gramlow Ltd for selling us some iron. And yes, lowered pickups can haul stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a mess out of this, take some perfectly good dimensional steel and make it into a rusty Corvette chassis. After what seems like an eternity of cutting, I got ourselves a little plate over here that we're gonna tie everything off of, or so I think. Took our bush light box and made ourselves a little fish plate that goes there. You can see where the bolt is. That's where the existing control arm mount bolt goes, and just gonna transfer that to 3/16. This gives us a nice little pocket for our 2 by 3 cross members sit in, so we can tie that all together. There's some pretty decent material to weld to, so we can box in this side, then we'll put a plate across the bottom, and then we just gotta figure out something on the other side. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Mojo's over here looking at me like he wants to show me something. Well, you are like a cat. You wanted to show me your mouse house in there. Yeah. What'd you do, break a valve off?
It just fell out when I...
Oh, yeah, sure. It was like that from the last guy. We got a little 283 action going on over here that somebody's doing an LS swap. So they said, you want the old 283? I said, sure. It's already 40 over. The other side looked pretty decent. Not too shabby. This side's got 2 broken valves, huh? It does have the power pack heads. Mojo was excited to see those. You'll build a hot 283. Anyway, I don't think there's much chance of getting that one running, do you?
No.
All right. I'll have to find something else for you to do than overhaul a 283. Transferred the old bush box into some 3/16 plate here. I'm just gotta get her welded in. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. There we go. We got our fish plate on there. The welds ain't pretty, but I didn't have a lot of room to work with. And if you think you're a good welder, go ahead and try to weld to rust. It's gonna be real good. Our main point of concern is tearing that hole out, and so we don't have to worry about that. That's all doubled up. And then we'll put our cross member here, and then we'll gusset our cross member to that, so everything will be tied together. So this is a very critical component to what we got going on here. So everything should be pretty dang good. Like I said, those welds ain't pretty, but they is strong.
She's short and skinny, but she's strong.
So not only did I fish plate the outside, I also welded the inside. Got up in there real nice and deep like, and burned all that together. So we got welds here and then all the way around the perimeter. Should be solid. We're gonna attach our cross member right here in this notch. And this is where we gotta beef it all up. This is about all that's holding it. It's right there between the rear frame rail and the cross member and the front frame rail. So that's where we need her to be real beefy like. So now I got this here template. We're gonna burn it all the way around the perimeter of that. We'll weld the inside of it. So that'll pretty much repair all of that rear cross member, the majority of it anyway. And that'll give us some good material right here to tie to this front frame rail. And then I notched it, left it a little bit big so that we can trim it out to get it to fit just perfect for a cross member. So we'll burn that all together, get that in there real good, and then we'll box the rest in. And should be pretty dang strong. So I'm gonna go transfer that to steel, and we'll get that all cut out and get that burned in and go on to the next one. Love welding rust. Yay. There you go. We got her tied to the front frame rail. We got her tied to the boxing plate on the rear frame rail. We are ready to start throwing some dimensional tubing at it, I think. So we just cut a chunk of 16-inch 2.5 by 2.5 3/16 wall, 1/4-inch wall. I don't know. It's heavy compared to the rest of the Corvette situation, but old Tiffany had a pretty good idea here. So because this is 2-inch, this is 2.5, and it's 1/4, 3/16 wall, whatever. We just notched it out. We're gonna slip it over that, and we'll get that all burned in. We can burn it in on the ends and around there, and around there. Wrap it real good. Should be nice and strong. And the plan is to slide this inside the frame rail. And we're gonna cut the bottom of the frame rail out because it's rusty. And then we're gonna weld the ever-living piss out of that. And then we'll put a gusset on the bottom and some other gussets maybe, but that should be real nice and strong. And the reason we're doing that there is because this cross member is gonna tie the sides together, but it's also gonna tie this back frame to the front frame. And that's gonna be freaking strong, way stronger than the rust that I'm welding to on the rest of the situation up there. So now, since this is all rusty anyway, we're gonna peel that open and we're gonna slide it in there. Here's what we got. We got her all fit up. I'm gonna put a couple of tack welds in there. We're gonna pull this whole assembly out and we're gonna burn her in there. I'm gonna try to remember to drill a few holes so that we can put some rosette welds in there. And then we'll make a plate up here or two. And yeah. And we'll maybe make a plate there and wrap it. We're gonna do all kinds of things. But anyway, proof of concept. It fits. I'm gonna put this little gusset here, about like so. And all that's gonna do is tie this front frame rail to this crossmember a lot better. And the main reason it's there from the factory is to keep everything from staying, keep it parallel, I guess, from shifting. Yeah, keep it parallel. I'm gonna burn that in there. And then I think we're about ready to throw a rear end in it and figure out how to get that pinion mounted. We got the diff in place. You got to bolt that to this cross member and then bolt the cross member up there. And she's pretty much mounted because these things are independent. So the center section stays stationary, then your axles move. So there's some bolts here that bolt the transverse leaf spring, and obviously you got your axles. And then I think there's something else that goes right here. I don't really remember how it all works, but anyway, it's pretty much stationary, but we got to keep it from rotating, spinning. And that's where this here pinion mount snubber thing comes into action. As you can see, they put some fancy fabrication specialties, amazingness for the dual exhaust right there. So it's already kind of been modified, but we got to tie that to our third cross member here. So we can either make a bracket coming off of there to tie that to it, or we can modify the pinion snubber to go up to there. Either way. And then I was worried about the drive shaft hitting it, because the factory one's got a big drop down right here. Well, we got clearance, and like I said, the center section does not move up and down like a 4-link or a setup with some parallel leaf springs. So we don't have to worry about it. We got plenty of clearance there, and that sucker ain't moving. Well, it might, but minimally, whatever the rubber bushings allow for. So now we got to attach this to this somehow. So that's what we're gonna do next. And I just had a Tiffany here. We got multiple rear ends. So we got this guy that came out of that car. You can tell that it came out of that car by how rusty it is. We could take that pinion snubber off of that, and we could just cut that sucker off and then just weld that to our cross member. Bada bing, bada boom. So that's what I think I'm gonna do. Unbolt that and see if we can't modify it and make that into our bracket coming off our cross member instead of having to make one from scratch. Or even if we cut one off of those cross members, it's not gonna be the same because, and plus it's all rusty and it's been modified. So I think we're just gonna not mess with that. We're just gonna steal one off that rear end, use that. What are the odds the hardware snaps off? Pretty good, I'd say. Yeah, perfect. Let's go ahead and molest that thing. Weird 7/16 bolt. I'm pretty sure 72 Corvettes were built completely out of 7/16 hardware. This is actually in surprisingly good shape because it's all greasy, so that prevented it from rotting out. So keep your Corvette grease. Look at that, still original black 1972 paint on there. And we're gonna cut it up, the best part of the whole car. First thing we're gonna do is the original mount had a hole that was big enough for this sleeve that goes to the center of the bushing go through. These mounts do not. I tried to open it up with my reamer, but it only goes up to 3/4. We need bigger than 3/4. And I don't have a reamer that big. So we're gonna go ahead and use this guy right here. Open her up so that goes through, so we can use the stock bushings. Yay! So I measured from the center line of the hole on the bracket on the differential to the back of that cross member. It's about 3 inches. So we're gonna cut this mount 3 inches back from the center line of the bushing hole. And it'll probably be too short, and we'll have to throw a filler piece in there because that's the way that it goes. Precision fabrication right here, kids. Just ruining Corvette parts. It's a new hobby of mine. What's the difference between a hobby and a pastime? Is there a difference? I don't think so. All right, let's go see if we can make her fit. And there is our pinion support using the factory hardware and the factory rubber mount. Actually, a lot better rubber mount came with this rear end, so we're using that one. So I'm gonna burn that in there. Hopefully it'll be strong enough. If not, we'll have to add some more material. All right, got her all burned in. I would like to add a gusset, but I don't know if we will. I don't know how much tension is on there. Torque, I suppose it all depends on how much horsepower we're putting down and how much traction we got. But while I'm picking away at that, Mojo's picking away at the drive shaft. Got some new 354 U-joints. The problem is, this thing is so rotten, I don't know if it's gonna hold the retainer clip. We might have to weld them in there, huh?
Might have to.
She's in pretty sad shape, but Mojo's gonna see what he can do. Give me the shaft, huh?
Oh yeah. So to heck with a gusset, I just cut a little pie section out of each side, laid her flat. It's gonna look a whole lot better, that whole air scoop action going on. I didn't like. Only problem with this is it's a giant cup, so it's gonna fill up with all sorts of things so that this rusts out. Hopefully gravel, because we're gonna drive it up and down gravel, but it should be a lot stronger. It looks a lot better. It shouldn't catch on anything, but it really wasn't hanging any lower than this guy right here. So yeah, I'm way happier now.
We're to the point where we're ready to reassemble rear suspension. First thing we gotta do is get this support out of there. So let's get that out of the way so that we can put all that factory independent rear suspension back underneath the old creamsicle. Ontario orange, the Canadian Vette. DD Speed Shop just wishes he was cool enough to have a Corvette in his stable. See how it didn't move when I cut that sport rod out of there? It's definitely the way that it should be. That means we did it right. Never mind the fact that it moved like 3/8 of an inch on the other side when we cut that one loose. Whoops. Ran into our first snafu. This bolt here holds the shock, and it also holds the lower control arm, and somebody must have beat on the one on the right hand side and mushroomed it out. I also took the threads out of the castle nut, so I found one of those in my stash. You don't ever throw them away. But I don't have a 5/8-18 or fine thread tap, so we're gonna use these thread restorers. I've never used these things. We're gonna give her a whirl, but anyway, they got different threads on them. I got 16/18 on this side, 11/12. That's by Lang. They're even made in USA. So I guess you just kind of use it like a saw and just go back and forth. We'll see. The beauty of these things is you don't have to have the correct size. You just have the correct thread pitch. So we'll see how this goes. Oh boy, here we go. 18. I don't know that I love it. Perfect. They work in a pinch. Uh-oh. The lower control arm is hitting our wildfire left. Good news is this hardware's loose. So these are aftermarket control arms. The original ones were just a fixed piece, and then you had a bolt with a notch in it and an eccentric, and that's how you would adjust your, I always get this wrong, camber in and out. But they weren't user-friendly. These are a lot more user-friendly. You got a jam nut on each end, you loosen that up, you spin the bar, you can adjust your camber in and out. But it uses the same components, so it's got these fancy washers, like a top hat washer. Got a little offset, and that offset's got to go inside of this eyelet to hold everything centered up. So anyway, and I guess the bushings in these things go bad regularly. Not a great design based on what I've seen on the old interwebs. Pretty sure I could have bolted a straight axle on this thing 11 times by the time I get this done. So many components. It's because the Corvette is so sophisticated. Or something like that. He's owner installed some KYB gas adjust for his drag racing application, so we'll stick those things in there. And then we just got to do brakes, maybe. Anyway, that's about all that's left on the rear end. Just kidding, there's like 7,000 other things we got to do yet. Did some of the boring stuff. Calipers are on. Brake lines are on. The hoses are back there. Also welded the tabs on the frame to retain the brake hoses. Ran a brake line from left to right. Look at that. welded a stud to the frame. That's where our battery cable comes through. So our ground stud's gonna hook right to that, because you can't go to the body because it's a fiberglass body, and we got the battery in the rear because it's a freaking race car for weight transfer. So anyway, that's done. That was on the original frame that rotted out. Also had to steal the tabs and then the T's off of the donor frame because they were shot on this frame. But anyway, got a good start on the brakes back here. Now we're gonna throw this bent up fuel tank in there. I think this one will be all right. It doesn't look like it's gonna leak, but if it does, we'll spend a couple $100 and get one. Main concern here is it's not bent around where it's got a seal for the sending unit, so it should be good to go. We got to put this crossmember up there for it to mount to. We got some new straps, new isolators, new sending unit. Anyway, it looks like hammered dog crap. We're probably going to be able to hold 3 quarts less of race gas, but the price was right. So if you'll recall, that car's been in a rear end collision. This rear crossmember is a little bit bent, so instead of straightening it out, we're just going to cut it off this rusty frame and weld it on there, because it seems easier and better, more professional, because that's what we're going for here. Professional. Yay! Straight cross member. It's not even that rusty. Whew, it's even got hardware. Hey! One rear cross member. Got the cross member in place. Put a couple of these strut rods up here. They fit up to the fiberglass real nice. No spacer required, so we must be in the ballpark. I'm gonna go ahead and burn that sucker in. Come on, baby. There we go. All right, this is not fitting up real well. I don't know if it's because it's bent, because somebody else has been here. I got another car. I want to go look at the parts car. Turns out, yes, in fact, we are missing a piece right here. So I messaged the seller. Hopefully he's got that laying around. If not, I guess that's what the parts car's for. Kind of hate to steal that because it leaves a big void. And the exhaust cutout goes right about here. And then everything, it's just kind of one piece that goes across everything. Anyway, figured out how the bumper bracket goes. So let's go ahead and put that on. Let's take a step back, see how she looks. Looks more complete. I got a hold of the seller. He said he does have that piece. Now I gotta try to coerce him to ship it to me. Anyway, yeah, I think we're gonna stick a fuel tank in it. Probably should stuff the fuel lines in there first though, huh? Yeah. New fuel line is in there. Even spurs for the stainless one, I couldn't get it fished in there. I feel like you got to do a frame off restoration and install this to the frame first. So I cut it in 2 pieces, spliced it, and then used my favorite magnetic clamps that use a zip tie. Tech tip of the day, they don't stick very well to rust. But the fuel line is in there. And the 1/4 inch line for the return is gonna stay out here. It's not gonna return to the car. DB did show up for a bit today and drill out the studs on all these because DB loves Corvettes. So yeah, now we just gotta put some 1/4 inch bolts in there to hold them on. Also, when I looked at the parts car, you don't ground these to the body because the body's fiberglass. So you gotta have like a jumper going from each one and then tie that to a ground to the frame or the battery or the ground in the harness. But yeah, that should be real fun because these buckets are like $50 to $100 a piece for what we could find on eBay. So we're gonna just find some hardware and make it work. Hopefully. Cripes, is our hardware gonna hit the lens on the inside? It's right up tight to it. Well, that would suck. Get ourselves a little button head Allen bolt.
We're gonna put a big fat fender washer on the inside and a whiz nut. I want to do this before I get the fuel tank in, because the fuel tank kind of sits in front of this stuff. And we're using the giant fender washers, if you will, so that it doesn't pull through the fiberglass. I don't know how you're ever going to pull a taillight through the fiberglass, but I don't want it to. Here we go. All right, now, oh yeah, perfect. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to hit on the heads of the screws, bolts, whatever. That'd be golden. This thing's going to look so much better with taillights back in it. Should have just done this right away when the car got here so that it looked so much cooler. This is your reminder to go work on your project car. So I was just checking this out and see there's that little light way up in there. This thing's got fiber optics in 1972. When I was looking these buckets up, saw something that said about fiber optics. I don't know what that is or what that's all about, but we're about to find out. So the fiber optics are kind of what I thought they were. It's basically a monitoring system, and it monitors inside the car whether the light is working or not. So it sends light through a tube to the driver's compartment and tells them whether it's working or not. That's pretty neat. Wish I had that for my trailer lights on my junk trailers that I got. Just a little bit of research I did. Looks like it was an option, but maybe it was factory on 72s. I don't know, but the more you know. Bet your 72 Thunderbird doesn't have that. Ah, yeah, doesn't that look freaking way better? Yes. So this is not a trunk lock. That's for the security system. So we're gonna put that plug in there just to fill the hole. The security system, I'm no doubt, doesn't work anymore. So you just gotta pop this sucker in there without dropping it, like so. Crunchy. Got it. Not only did they smash this tank with a hay bale, the inside's full of hay. And you don't want hay in your fuel lines, or your fuel filter, or your carburetor, or your engine. So we're gonna get that hay out of there. Not sure this is gonna make it better or worse. Oh boy, that's a lot of hay. Don't store hay in your fuel tank. Hey. It's just like ethanol. Filter's gonna catch the rest, right? Hopefully it's not bent so much that our sending unit doesn't fit in there anymore. This thing's gonna leak. I know it. Foreshadowing. I said how the cap fits like crap. The hay baled fuel tank is installed. Man, it looks like crap. Hopefully, she holds fluid. They did the Ford thing and put the sender on the bottom, so hopefully that doesn't leak. All right, check the diff while I was under here. That's full. Let's go move up to the front. We finally made it to the front of the car. This thing's got a 400 in it. We could tell by the harmonic balancer. It's got the notch because 400s are externally balanced. And you could never get a 400 in a Corvette that I'm aware of, but I'm not a Corvette guy. Factory chrome dual snorkel air cleaner, complete with mouse house. Nope, just surface rust. But the quadrajet is stuck. The front pulley is about rusted off. When we go underneath and we unhook the torque converter bolts, we'll try turning it over, but I think it's stuck and we're just gonna have to sneak the torque converter out
with the engine. So we're gonna pull this out and we're gonna find a mystery small block laying around the yard. It's probably gonna be a 350 because that's what we got. Let's get this thing out of here. Hopefully we don't break anything. Hopefully we don't find anything that's missing or that is critical. And yeah, let's stick an engine in this thing and get it on the road. So I'm gonna go ahead and start unhooking stuff. That's how you know quadrajets are great carburetors, because race cars like Corvettes had them from the factory. Oh my gosh, there's coolant in there. There's a lot of coolant in there. I'm making a mess. Don't worry, dear, help is on the way.
Help is on the way, dear!
Hit her with some Zeppum. I got a feeling we're gonna have some rusty hardware in here. Oh boy. Look at that. Didn't even twist the lines off on a rusty piece of crap. 2 wrenches, kids. 2 wrenches. Also, use a line wrench. Nice. So much room for activities. Better yet, you can actually see, because the only light over here is directly on the other side of the hood. The good news is it still looks like crap under here. One Corvette quadrajet going on the shelf. Who am I kidding? We're putting this back on. Once they send it to some quadrajet guru that gets it unstuck. I suppose there's a bunch of antifreeze in the cooling system. We should lift this thing up in the air and drain that out safely. All right, Mr. Rusty Petcock. Work with me. Or just snap off, make my day. Oh my goodness. Rusty coolant. Now I gotta pee. Seen some stuff, but I don't know if I've ever seen an inspection cover this rotten. Oh, we can go right through it. Oh my gosh, this thing's loose. No way. Are you kidding me? Let's see if we can get a full revolution. I'm gonna go ahead and take this inspection cover off. Good thing we didn't get too crazy taking it apart. Carburetor was stuck. This 400 might live. Oh boy, what's gonna be behind this? Well, it can't hold a mouse house. The transmission cooler lines have been leaking in the shop, so I know they're rotten. Oh, sure enough. What's that say? 74 Chevy 400. I think we can go ahead and throw that in the trash. We could probably find a better inspection cover than that around here. There you go. 74 Chevy 400. The reason they marked it is because the 400 is externally balanced. And that right there is how you tell. The old indentation on the harmonic balancer. Like, look at that frickin' front crank pulley. It's so rotten. Well, we don't have to mark it to see if we get a full revolution. Once that 74 Chevy notation comes all the way around, we know we made a full revolution. Ooh, crunchy. Oh, that's just the belts tearing loose from the pulley. No big deal. Oh, the belt's just pulling it right out of there. Whee! Yuck. And there it is. We almost made it a full revolution. Fix that belt situation. Part of it anyway. Whee! Oh, I can hear compression. No way. I can't taste the compression. Was that Skittles? Taste the rainbow.
Touch the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
I'm gonna take the belt to you. Oh, it's rusted to the water pump. Good grief. Anyway, cool. This thing turns over. So, I guess we throw a battery in it now. I gotta fish a ground cable through there and hook up to my
fancy chassis ground. If this thing runs and drives with this 400 in it, I'm gonna be so stoked. This is what happens when you fix a rusty frame Corvette. You get blessed with a good 400. Don't crap out on me now. Let's clean up this positive battery cable adapter from a side post to a top post. This week's battery sponsor is McEwen Auto. You too can be a battery sponsor at mortske.com. Oh boy. Oh boy. Batteries in. Let's flip some switches and bang some ditches. I said ditches. It's on either side of the road. Get your mind out of the gutter. Oh, these cars are so easy to get in and out of. Actually, not bad. Ba-da-bum-bum. No horn. I bet there's no bad grounds. Headlights aren't going to work because it's vacuum operated to flip those up. I think it's vacuum operated to get at the wipers too. Turns out my car doesn't have the fiber optic package. Dang. What's this? V&H Ford, Marshfield, Wisconsin. Woohoo! Fasten seatbelts. How come the oil pressure light isn't on? Oh, it's because it doesn't have a light. It's got an actual gauge. What happens when we crank it? A whole lot of nothing. What if we put this thing into what we think is park? The shift cable is snapped off, so anyway. We got clickety-clackety. Oh, I took the ground off to the engine. Let's hook that up. We might have a chance here. So you're saying there's a chance?
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Well, since the fuel line's hooked up, we don't have to worry about sucking any bad fuel in there. Why is it the one thing that I unhooked had to keep it from cranking over? I mean, I'm not saying that this is gonna fix it by any means, but it's a good place to start, right? Here goes nothing. If this thing cranks over, we're gonna be doing donuts by dinner time. Oh, the sport steering wheels even get sticky. Here we go. Yeah! Starter's not happy. Oil pressure? Does it have oil in it? Who knows? Who cares? Ha! Well, we know the wiring to the starter is good. Let's see if we got power going to the coil, and then we'll have to give the frickin' Mortske flick to the points, and this thing will be fired up. Just drizzle a little hot sauce down the intake. Real nice.
Really nice.
So I see why these are always missing, because every time you got to work on the points or the coil or the plug wires, this thing's in the way. Whew, we got a wing nut over here. No tools necessary. Yeah, because Corvette guys work on their own stuff. I feel like it should be a chrome wing nut on both sides, and it was just missing on the driver's side. I wonder if there's any Corvette purists still watching at this point. Probably not. They're all crying or puking or who knows what. I think I read somewhere that only the radio cars had these. It's for radio interference. In the non-radio cars, if you got a radio delete. Can you imagine buying a sports car, like a Corvette? I could see like a muscle car, you know, like a Nova with a radio delete, you know. Just want to go fast for cheap. But imagine buying a fiberglass sports car like this Corvette and not getting a radio. Really cheaping out. Anywho, let's go get a test light and see if we got any power to these crusty connections. Crusty connections. I'm gonna start a dating app for folks who are watching this video, and we're gonna call it Rusty Connections. I think it's a good idea. I mean, if my singing career doesn't pan out, we got Rusty Connections to fall back on. I'm sure everybody would pay $49.95 a month for that. Nobody go steal that domain name, rustyconnections.com. Key is on. Let's hook up right to our ground. And then which side of the coil? The rusty side. Whoa! Got it. Oh, look at that. DB put a for rectal use only decal on here. What a guy. He's a funny kid. He knows how much I use this light. And so he put a decal on it. Oh, and it works. Freaking sweet. Key off. Key on. Key off, key on. Well then, you suppose we got the spark? We should have pulled the spark plugs out and lubed the cylinders a month ago when I got this car, but we didn't because we're hacks. So anyway, let's do that now.
Yay. Let's knock some crap down the intake too. Hopefully the plug wires are brittle enough so that they just kind of lay in place, go back to where they were, so we don't have to figure that out later. Oh my. Oh my. There we go. That would really be something to snap this thing off. I did peek through the oil cap and it's got 487X heads on it, which is, you know, Corvette heads, race car heads. I hope these spark plugs just look phenomenal inside. I deserve it. The pumpkin seed here deserves it too. You know, it's pretty good. Pretty good. A little white corrosion on there. Not bad. Okay, I'm gonna pull all the spark plugs out real fast. God dang it, these things all look glorious. 3 ACs and 1 Champion on that side. Champion was cylinder number 7, so maybe that's why they parked it, because number 7 is consuming some oil. Who knows? And this one is the Busted Off brand. It's a AC Delco. What? Oh no! What the heck? The old porcelain and everything slid right out of the R44T. That's a new one. You don't want to see that. Hopefully there's something to grab onto there. No, that's bad news right there. Cylinder number 2. There's no hex to grab on. The good news is there's a through hole for us to pound an easy out in, but the bad news is there's some work required to do that. I'm just gonna keep on chugging along, pretending like I didn't see that. All 8 spark plugs, probably not necessary. Oh wait. Hold the phone. What is in my socket? So technically I didn't round off the spark plug or strip it off. The hex shell just kind of stayed in my socket and the rest of the threads stayed in the cylinder head. I guess worst case scenario, we just pull these 487X heads off and put different ones on, but I think we'll get that out of there. And I think we're gonna get these last 2 spark plugs out and it's gonna be glorious. Yeah, these look way too good, considering how not so good everything else is on this car. I mean, this is a great car. You should own it. Price and availability in the video description. Probably the cheapest 1972 Corvette you'll find. Probably. I'm sure somebody out there's got one cheaper, but this one's been back-halved. It's a race car. It's got a fresh 355 posi rear, fresh brakes. It's got a strong 400 in it. Oh, I forgot to do the twist dealie on that one. Son of a biscuit. All right, I'm gonna go round up some easy outs and easy out a spark plug. Yay. So that is what a cylinder should look like when you take the spark plug out. And that is what it looks like when the spark plug does whatever just happened, where it basically delaminates. So we gotta get that out of there. Or find a pound-in style spark plug. I've yet to come across one of those in my adventures yet, however. Did you know that there's sizes on easy outs? Well, that set only went up to number 4, so I found a number 5, and guess what? Johnny number 5 has come alive.
Number 5 is alive.
I think it's a walnut. Has anybody ever said how walnuts look like a wrinkly ball sack? I'm just gonna put that out there. No, I haven't seen a lot of ball sack. Walnuts. There's one on the intake. Shout out to all you folks who do support us by buying decals and shirts and banners and screwdrivers and such, because it's folks like you that make it so that I can buy tools like this torch. Oh, look at that. A little heat goes a long ways, baby. Just walking right out of there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. It's hot. Let's not burn our lips on the crack pipe here. Let's just keep using the old Swedish nut lathe and thread her out. Oh, I'm so happy. It's a good day when you don't snap out. Knock on fiberglass, I haven't broken off an easy out. I don't know if I ever have. I bet I have. But yeah, I definitely have in the block/oil pan in my 3.1 and my 9-7 Cutlass back in the day. But I have not. That is, yep, it's hot. Drill bits, on the other hand, those things are freaking sacrificial around here. We snap those things off on a regular basis. Oh, number 5, Johnny has saved the day. Look at this. Look at this. Would you look at it? Would you look at it? Look at that. Still got the ground strap on there. Woohoo! I may or may not be going to have a sandwich after that to celebrate. Before I have a sandwich intermission, let's put some Zeppum down these cylinders like I said I was gonna do. That'll give it some time to, you know, zap up the rings. Basically a total overhaul. That's why I use Zep. It's expensive, but it's worth it. Basically rebuilds your cylinders once you spray it in there. Also, shout out to Zep for making that spark plug just spin right out. Alrighty. Sandwich time. Alright, what are the odds we got spark here? I got my spark plug tester. Oh yeah, we got the coil wire right here. We're just gonna pull that off. We can't ground it to the body because the body is fiberglass. Alright, let's hope this is a good ground. I don't know that it is. All right, let's see if we got some spark. Not looking good. We should have had those plugs out a long time ago. Sure turns over nice now. At least he's pulling wire instead of pulling something else back here. The electrician's like, hey, why'd you turn the blinker on? Hey-o. Guess that works. Maybe we got a bad coil. No, it's, uh-oh. Please don't be rusted off. Uh-oh. Didn't sound good, but it came loose. And it's gonna look like brand new in here, like, oh, ooh, like they always do, but this one doesn't. Huh, there's like a cover in here, so you can't flick the points. Corvette things. Oh, you should have pressure washed the engine off first. Yeah, well, I didn't think that we were gonna be using this engine. Also, I was more concerned about making the frame be in one piece than I was about having a clean engine bay. I really don't want to get into swapping the distributor, and mainly because I don't want to get into swapping these spark plug wires that go underneath the manifolds. But I probably got a set of HEI plug wires for one of these things. This is interesting. So there's a cover in here that we got to take off in order to get at the points, and I've never seen it on any other small block Chevy points distributor. Super fast Corvette stuff. Let's drop that screw right down the intake. Now I'll forget that those screws are in the distributor cap. Yeah, it's got this fancy little cover that goes over the points. It's 2 pieces. It's got a little note in it. It says, this shield reduces ignition interference in vehicle radio. To replace contact set for adequate clearance, use 1931998. Or D106P, or D112P, as specified. Huh. So apparently a steel firewall gives you more protection for your radio. We don't have a radio. And yeah. Oh boy, those are crusty. Real bad. Yeah, I'm gonna find somewhere to put these screws so I don't lose them. So if you ever see a distributor that's got a fancy little tin cover over the points, it's because it's for a Corvette. Wow. More worthless information. All right, here we go. I got the key on just so we can electrocute ourselves.
By the power of Grayskull.
And it makes the Mortske flick work so much better. We should be using our Mortske flick device, but I'm too lazy to walk back to the toolbox. There we got some spark. Ooh, they're terrible. And we got the part number right there. I think I got a bunch of 106Ps. Let's go grab one. Look at that, D106P, keep your GM. All GM. Oh, it's even Corvette, Ontario orange. Delco Remy, division of General Motors. Anderson, Indiana. These are no doubt USA made. They're a few decades old. It's even like a tinfoil wrapper. Fancy. Oh yeah. The finest. The old Delco Remy logo is freaking sweet. Okay, I think we just gotta loosen each of these screws. You don't want to take them all the way out because then you gotta put them all the way back in. Oh, there's power there. Should probably turn the key off. It's really rusty in here too. Who'd have thought? Let's bump this over to give ourselves some clearance.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Now I suppose we gotta gap them. What are we going for? 19 thou? Totally gonna eyeball it. All right, how's the rotor look? Super rusty and crappy. You know, I don't want to replace the plug wires, but we'll throw a cap and rotor on them. We got new plugs, we got new points, so we'll almost overhaul the ignition system. Going with the tan rotor and the gray cap. It's because it was what I had. I figured it out. Finally determined why GM's got the distributors at the back, because everybody grumbles, oh, they're so hard to work on, distributors at the back. It's for when they designed the frickin' Corvette with the hood flipping forward. It's easier to get at the back. Duh. Come on now. There you go. Now we just gotta swap all the plug wires over, put them in the right spot, which is sometimes a lot easier said than done. Oh, let's check to see if we got spark before I go ahead and undo that. Maybe I had a bad ground before. Who knows? Come on, spark. Maybe we got a bad ground because I don't see any spark. Oh, frick! This thing's got a cable-driven tachometer on it. Hot rod. Also, how you can tell if it's Corvette tack. It's got a cable-driven tack. Oh, brake light's on. Does our tack work though? Oh yeah, she's turning. At the luck we're having with speedometer cables around here, the tack is gonna do one of those when the engine's running smooth, so looking forward to that. Let's run a separate ground to that and see if then we get spark. We got a dedicated ground coming right from the ground cable. Let's see if we got spark now. Nope. Sometimes you gotta give those new old stock Delco Remy plugs the old Mortske flick, so let's do that quick. How about now? I can see a spark over here, but it's not in there. We definitely got power going to the points. And when I do that, we're getting spark at the tester. There we go. I can hear it. The Mortske flick. 60% of the time it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
It does if you don't think about it. Got us some freshly gapped R45 tees. Why did I go with R45s instead of R44s? Well, because that's what I have. So let's put those in there. And then we're ready for some type of carburetor action. Oh, these heat shields are gonna go in the trash. I will admit, it's a lot easier to change spark plugs with no exhaust manifolds in the way. It's time to install a carburetor, and I got a 1407 Edelbrock laying around because it's what I have. 750 cubic feet per minute of amazingness, because that's what you need on your Corvette, more carburetor. First thing we gotta do, clean up the gasket mating surface. And I got just the tool for that, the Super Scraper SS1, available at mortskerepair.com as well. We got all the good stuff. We got magnetic screwdrivers, we got magnetic can koozies, banners, Super Scrapers, ball caps, beanie caps. Hopefully we don't need any beanie caps for the foreseeable future, but we got t-shirts and crew necks, hoodies, you name it, we got it. If we don't got it, You don't need it. We got decals, and bumper decals too. In order to install the old Edelbrock here, which is a square bore on the Quadrajet, which is a spread bore, we need an adapter. So I got some lubed up gaskets we're gonna use so we can take it all apart when we inevitably find out that this motor is no good, or that we find something different. Better put a Quadrajet on it, who knows. Anyway, we're on a budget here, so we gotta save the old gaskets. Here goes nothing. Now we just gotta hook up our throttle linkage. We don't have a kickdown that we gotta hook up because this thing got Turbo 400 in it. Turbo 400's got an electronic kickdown. Yeah, that's right. Newfangled technology in 1972. So it's got a switch built into the foot feet gas pedal that kicks it down. So we don't have to worry about that. We got a throttle linkage. We got our vacuum for our power brakes, which we wouldn't need to hook up, but kind of like to. We got our vacuum advance. Again, don't need it. Kind of like to hook it up. Hey, PCV. Done. I said done. Oh man, that hose is stiff. And then hook up our fuel hose here. We're gonna steal this stud off the old Quadrajet for our throttle linkage. And then we just gotta hook her up. Well, we should have spark. We're gonna have fuel. Let's give her a shot of the old hot sauce. We got hot sauce bottles at mortske.com. You could steal them from a restaurant. Wouldn't recommend it. Or you can get yours at mortske.com. Let's see if we can't get this thing to fire up. I wish I knew when this thing was run last. I could lie to you and say 1987, but I have no idea when it was run last, so we won't do that. Nothing misleading here, just the facts. Here we go. Come on, baby, light my fire. Slingshot, engage. Hold on. Oh, there's no tires. We don't have to worry about the transmission not being in gear. I can't use the shifter because the cable's busted. Here we go. What's pouring out? I'm excited, but I also don't know that we ever checked the oil. I'm sure it's got oil in it. It's barely on the stick. Tell you what, we know it runs. I'm excited about that. Let's grab a filter. And we're gonna do some 400 Corvette things. It's got a 400. I've never had a 400. 400 engine with a 400 turbo behind it. It's the thing dreams are made of. When I was a kid, I used to think that you had to pair them up. I'd be like, why is this 350 got a turbo 400 behind it, Dad? That's wrong. Let's change oil on this 400. Yes, she's a runner. We're gonna need some manifolds. Remember what I said earlier? Transmission cooler line was rotted out? Yeah, it's bleeding. Right about in there. So before we get too crazy, we gotta do something about that. That is a good rusty starter though. Ooh, I bet this stuff is good. Oh, I bet that filter's tight. Kmart, they crank the piss out of you. Starters, oh, more starters. Drain plug. Did Kmart do oil changes? Probably. Oh, that is real thick. I guess it's better than being watery thin. I shouldn't even say it, but I've never had an oil filter just kind of welded. Okay, I have. You definitely pounded the screwdriver through them, but let's not have this one delaminate on us. We won't. Nothing but the finest from Kmart. It's really hard to find a good quality filter like the old Kmart K3. Ew. I got a Baldwin B6 and some Castrol GTX. Helps. Extend engine life, superior sludge protection, because I'm sure there's no sludge in here. I think we'll just let that sludge trickle out of there for a while. Can't hurt, right? Rear brakes are done. Front brakes, however, are not. We're going to take this apart, check the bearings. We're going to turn the rotors. And also, to get it to roll, they took the pads out. No big deal. We got new pads. We got new calipers. But they snapped off the bolts going into the spindles. So we got to figure that out first in order to get those off, and also in order to get the rotors off. And you know what snapped off bolts are like? Real fun. Well, it did kick butt on the spark plug being snapped off in the cylinder, so maybe this will go swimmingly as well. So I'm thinking if we take the rotor off, the caliper will come with it. I'll show you why in a bit. Maybe I'm wrong though, we'll find out shortly. Look at that. Just gotta cut the brake hose. Oh. Just like so. So the bolts are snapped off inside of the caliper and they go through this bracket here. So instead of chasing those bolts out, we just slide everything off. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Work smarter, not harder, right, Mojo?
Right.
Showed Mojo how to do it, and he says he can't get his side done. Kids these days. Yeah. Just snap already. Snap, crackle, pop. Rice Krispies.
Snap, crackle, pop, talking just to you. Sounds good.
Oh, there we go. Now it should slide right off. Or not. Power slots, they'll make quick work of this brake hose. Like a hot knife through butter.
Like a hot knife through butter.
Irwin power slot. Not a paid promotion. Not available at mortske.com. There. These rotors don't look too bad, but we're going to clean them up anyway because Mojo likes running that brake lathe. And we're going to do the same thing with the bearings. Hopefully we got some new seals. Hopefully the bearings are good. Otherwise I think we got some of them too. Pretty common bearing part number. Then we'll have some new brakes. And in case you're wondering what a sports car spindle looks like, there she is. Real fancy. I still don't understand the two-piece design on these calipers. They're split in the middle right there, and they got a bolt holding them together. No wonder they leak. 4 pistons though, for all the leaking action. It didn't clean up just perfectly. There's a couple of rust spots, but I think we're gonna call her good. Otherwise we have to take quite a bit of material off. That's where the pads must have sat, where it was parked right in that section, and same on the other side, held some moisture in there. Good enough for the girls we go with, right?
Looks like it.
All right, we got a leak coming from these transmission cooler lines. They're rotten. They're kind of in the way of the fuel pump, which is also leaking somehow now. I don't get that because it's not hooked up to anything. Anyway, we're gonna put a 2-line fuel pump on it, and then we get rid of that 3rd line, and then everything will be new on the fuel system other than the used carburetor we put in there, unless we find a used line to put on there, because this line is gonna be different. We're like, yeah, that's old gas. That fuel pump is pumping old gas from inside of the bowl that's been in there forever. Anyway, it stinks. It's going away. So we're gonna do that. Yuck, stinking up my shop floor. You know, let's go ahead and cut these lines off, and then we can put a socket on there to get them off so we don't round them off and have to fight in there because there's just no real estate in the bell housing. Not a lot of room in there to get those fittings loose, but we can get a straight shot with a socket if we cut them off. Boom.
Passes it to the man, shoots it, and boom goes the dynamite.
Quick, we needed to get it off before the brake lathe fires up again. Ah, hear that? Silence. Oh, you know you want to come out of there. You stinky, rotten fuel bomb. All right. Now, can we fish it out of there without taking the frickin' line off? Will it go out the bottom? Do we have to pull the radiator hose off? What is your problem, Corvette? There is not a lot of real estate. I feel like the service manual is going to tell you to pull the frickin' low radiator hose. How dumb is that? Let's try it from underneath. Maybe if we turn what's left of these freaking stiff rubber hoses off. That'll help sneak it out of there. Be gone. All right, fuel pump. Maybe if we take the line off, it'll go. It's got to, right? Oh yeah, and then just twist off anyway. Well, anyway, we got that ugly sucker out of there. And ruined our line, but she was pretty rotten anyway. We got a pattern. It's not gonna work unless we put a quater jet on there or a matching fuel pump, so no big loss. Until I poke it through the radiator. Here's the fuel pump we took off. It's a 3-line with this giant canister, and then the line comes off the back side as opposed to the side. This is a 2-line. This is what I put on pretty much everything, and that's what this thing is gonna get. We need a custom line anyway, because we got that Edelbrock on there with a spacer, so it doesn't really matter that we lost that. But anyway, just wanted to show you what we got going on here. I'm gonna go ahead and install that. Oh, that's great, because that fitting comes out this way and this one comes out that way. So we'll probably have to do a little curly Q pigtail with some 3/8 fuel hose. We can handle that. Let's see if we can't fish some transmission lines out of here. Oh, there we go. Try to save them as best we can for a template. The interesting part about these transmission lines is they got rubber on the end, or a chunk of rubber hose. Usually it's steel front to back. Corvette things. Here we go. Patterns. Just gonna whip up quick transmission cooler line, and apparently these don't bend as well as the 3/16. This is 5/16. It's just like making brake lines, but bigger. So I'm gonna keep on trying. I'm gonna throw this one away, which sucks because I have amazing flare on there. Got our rotors turned, bearings packed. See if we can get some calipers on here. Got some new 7/16 hardware. And I think you can put these calipers on and slide the pads in later. We're gonna find out. Okay, I think I got long enough hardware in there. Holy buckets. All right, she's snugged up. It's not rammed through into the rotor, right? Should be golden. I'm gonna target a spec, go look at my Corvette service manual. Click. I believe it's the same rotors and pads, front and rear, left and right. These should slip right in once we get the piston slid back. And we just got this little retainer pin and we got to slide through and a cotter key. That's what holds them in there. I would imagine that's for, you know, race car stuff. Super fast pad swap outs on the track. Who knows? That's what I'm saying. Don't put them in backwards. That would be a bad day. Probably some special Corvette tool for this. It's called a flat screwdriver. I can get one slid back, but I can't get the other one. What the French? Got him. You just need that Corvette tool I was talking about. Okay, that was the easy side. Now for the hard one. Give me my Corvette tool back. Oh, don't go too far. You never want to go too far. Probably putting the pin in the wrong direction. Doesn't matter. I'm sure somebody will correct me. God.
Bend over the tangs on our cotter key, and then we just gotta bleed everything. Well, once we put a master cylinder on it, and probably some new lines. But hey, we got calipers and pads and hoses now. Well, since some dummy cut the heater hoses, we better plug these up so we can put coolant back in it. Now we got transmission cooler lines on it. No doubt the heater core is gonna leak because DB's leaked, and his car probably hasn't sat near as long as this one. And also, had to put a sweatshirt on because it's cooling off, but it's that time of year where we shouldn't need heaters, right? Anyway, heater delete installed. I've never seen the cover rod off on the back of a water pump, but this one might have a chance. Anyway, speaking of water pumps, we should probably take that water pump pulley off of there. And the crank pulley for sure. Alternator pulley. Looks salvageable. Power steering. Let's hope it's, ooh. Maybe we can clean that one up. Those are, you gotta have a puller for those, so we don't need power steering, right? How rusty are these? Oh, don't snap off. That'd be a bad day. And we gotta put a water pump on it. Or at least some new studs. But it's turning. We're golden. That's okay. I wanted to drop that down there where I'd never see it again anyway. Gone forever. Aaron Hernandez.
Gone forever, Aaron Hernandez.
Last one, come on, baby. Ah. There we go. What are the odds we can get this fan off without putting it through the radiator? Son of a... I guess we can tap on this pulley. It's already fudged. Yeah, about that. Maybe we should just take that water pump off and change it. I mean, that's what we should do. This doesn't mean that's what we're gonna do. Oh, she's moving. We are golden. Yes. All right, still gotta get that pulley off. Oh, got it. This thing is disgusting. Time to go dig through the short water pump double pulley stash, see if we got the right one. So anyway, dug through the pulley collection, and yeah, none like this. There is one on the parts car, but it doesn't look a whole lot better. And then I have to molest that thing, so I'm gonna see if I can clean this up. You know, let's just waste some more time. Ow! Fudge nugget. I'm so over this Corvette. Corvette only pulleys. Can you believe it? No wonder we couldn't get any belts to line up on DB's car. All right, now we just need to get a 6-inch chunk of belt out of there. Better have some spare V-belts because I feel like we're gonna be sending them right off of these pulleys when we hit freaking $5 grand. How does rubber and steel become one? Down to the last 1 1/4 inches of belt. Got it. It still looks absolutely disgusting. So does my thumb. Anyway, I'm gonna try to bead blast that a little bit. Make it a little better. Who am I kidding? You just tuck it in there, comes out nice and clean. Bada bing, bada boom, one freshly restored Corvette pulley. I have a love-hate relationship with the Scat Blast cabinet. It's the most boring job ever. It's like watching paint dry, but physically having to dry it. Anyway, I wonder what the bottom one's like. Hopefully that one is something common that I got laying around. But we're gonna have to take it out and find out. Got a feeling this crank pulley is not gonna be savable. Come to Papa, you rusty pig. Yeah. There's your problem. That I think I got. That's just a double groove, standard short water pump crank pulley, right? Yeah, that thing is
She's crispy. Well, that ain't gonna work. Cripes, I thought I had the right one, but as you can see, it doesn't have the right center. It's bigger. It's the right offset. Could we make it work? Yes. We just wouldn't be able to use the harmonic balancer bolt to hold it. We would be completely relying on the 3 perimeter bolts. I don't know if I like that. 400, a lot of power. I got one more option. Otherwise, we're gonna have to go with some other stuff that's not ideal. Duff, you wanna show them what we found? The disappointment that is Corvette pulleys. These two don't have quite the exact same spacing. It's frickin' close, but it's spaced a little bit further back on the new pulley. We only need to use that back groove for now until we add power steering, so I'm pretty sure Corvettes use their own pulleys on it. Which makes sense because I believe by 1972 long water pumps were on the rest of the lineup. But what the heck do I know? Anyway, we know this one's not going to work. So let's throw it on there and see what happens. Just when you thought you had the whole set, Duff, you run into something new. Pulley on the power steering pump, same deal. Only you got to pull the whole power steering pump off, and then you got to pull the pulley off in order to clean it up in the V-Flash. So we're going to use the old French tickler here to see how that goes to get the crud out of there, so that we can get a belt on there, because it sure would be nice to have power steering in our sports car. Alright, I don't really understand the concept of how those things work, but it actually cleaned her up pretty good. I mean, it's definitely not like new, and we pretty much need an entire pulley set for this thing, but should be good enough for the girls we go with. Also, we got some pretty excessive end play, so we're probably going to need a power steering pump. But I guess we can throw the fan back on, see if we can get some belts on this thing. Well, in order to get a belt on this alternator, which actually turns real growly, we gotta take this 5/16 bolt loose. And I just wanted to document me snapping it off because I got a feeling this steel bolt going into some cast aluminum is not gonna end well. Here goes nothing. I know I should be positive, but yeah, I can see the end is not turning. Suppose if we give it some heat. You know, I've heated a lot of things up. I don't know that I've heated aluminum up before. Oh my gosh, why didn't I do that right away? So glorious. We're gonna put a new bolt in there though, because this one definitely had the head spinning before the shank was. Can you heat aluminum and it not fatigue and break? Maybe, we're gonna find out. There we go. Look at this shift cable. Look at how rusty and frayed it is. I got a new one, but this thing still shifts, so we're leaving it because I don't want to take the center console apart. Pretty easy to take apart down here, just one clip right there. But it works, so we're gonna leave it. We're not gonna tear it all apart like the previous owner would have done. Glad I pulled that stupid thing out of the bag. I'm not gonna get our $20 back from Eckler's, but we're gonna need it at some point. That's what it should look like with that plastic casing on it. Not all rusty and frayed, so we got one. We'll just have to try to find it when it finally breaks. Now that we know that it shifts, let's make sure it stops. So pretty much all the brakes are new. We gotta do the master cylinder in a couple lines. So let's go ahead and screw up some more hardware. Let's play the game of will we or won't we snap off a line. Oh yeah, round off the frickin' bolt. Heat it is! Please don't burn my Corvette down. We've come too far. There we go.
wrench away. Ah, nothing beats the old doubled up wrench trick though. And on with the new. Brake rebuild complete. Just kidding. Behind the scenes, I'm totally going to bleed these, fight a bunch of leaks, twist off some more lines, and replace the line that goes from the proportioning valve to the T, way at the left rear corner. See you in a bit. We got brakes on that Corvette, or we dang well better, because pretty much everything is new other than the brake booster. We got all new lines, all new hoses, calipers, pads, all that stuff. But now, the fun part, exhaust. So the exhaust manifolds are missing. And I was always told that Corvettes had 2.5-inch exhaust manifolds. Well, I don't have any Corvette ram horn manifolds around, but I got some 2-inch ones. And I also got some Huth bend cards to bend up some exhaust. And I don't know what this is that's stuck in here. One of these emissions tubes that's gonna go away. But anyway, the bend cards say it's 2-inch exhaust. So we're just gonna go ahead and use the 2-inch manifold to run 2-inch exhaust all the way out the back until I run out of 2-inch pipe, because I don't have enough. But first thing we gotta do, get this garbage off of these manifolds, clean up the studs, and put some shorter studs in this one because it had a heat riser or something in it. Anyway, here we go. Don't snap off on the last one. Sweet. We just got to find some shorter ones that aren't meant for a heat riser. Next, we're going to take our Huth bend card that we got from the boys at National Muffler Warehouse. We're going to mark where we got to do all our bends, and then we're going to bend up some pipe, and then we're going to see if it fits. And if it fits, we're going to go ahead and do the other side. Move on to the back. I know you don't have an exhaust bender, but I do, so I'm gonna use it. Because we try to do everything in-house, like turning the rotors. I got that rotor turning machine for like $100, and it's paid for itself many times over. This thing ain't paid for itself yet, but Bend Pack Benders, shout out to those guys. Let's go ahead and finish up some exhaust before I get exhausted. Hopefully I got enough 2-inch pipe. Hopefully I don't screw it all up. Well, we got exhaust on it. I only had bend cards for the right-hand side, which was labeled the left-hand side, but it only fit on the right-hand side, so I mirrored it and didn't like it. So let me show you what we got. We got straight pipes, and we got no tailpipes. So, perfect. Oklahoma exhaust. So this downpipe's pretty sweet, way sweeter than my transmission cooler lines. Anyway, I just mirrored that to this side. Fits up pretty sweet. Goes through our crossover, clamps onto this existing hanger, which is broke off on the driver's side. But anyway, so it goes through this crossover, goes back. This is the bend card I had. His brackets for 2.5-inch exhaust. This is only 2-inch, so it doesn't fit real great. But I don't like the way that it bends over, and that's the way it is factory. If you get the factory muffler, we're not gonna have that. So I mirrored the first couple bends through the cross member here, and it lined right up with this guy. We're gonna have to put a 2-inch clamp on there instead of the 2.5. But then we just gotta figure out how to get over to here, along the frame rail, hit that hanger, and then I wanna get some factory exhaust cutouts and put up there. I think they go right here, actually. I'll wait till I get that splash pan and some cutouts before I do that, because I don't wanna bend up a bunch more pipe and ruin it to find out we can't really use it anyway. So I think if we just put a 45-ish here, put a glass pack style muffler here, and then another 45 to here to what we got for a tailpipe, and yeah, I'm guessing that's kind of how they were from the factory. They had a muffler here with an elbow coming off the end of the muffler, and then a little short 9-inch chunk of pipe, looks like from the bend card, And then it went to our tailpipe, which must be right here. Tailpipe? No, tailpipe. Yeah, I suppose it would be a tailpipe. The exhaust cut out. So yeah. So this one kind of shoots out to the side. This one goes that way. A lot less bends in mine than the factory style, but it'll work. It's gonna be loud. Race car stuff. I am exhausted. All right, we just dumped a bunch of fluids in there. Put a couple of quarts of ATF in it. Got the fuel tank with some fuel in it, full of coolant, power steering fluid, of course, brake fluid. Let's see how this exhaust sounds. Gonna give her some hot sauce, fill the bowl. Hopefully it picks up fuel. I definitely did not install an inline filter, so hopefully it doesn't pick up any straw. Get into our Edelbrock or a fuel pump. See how the exhaust sounds? Run her for a bit. Hopefully it runs and stays running. And then we can check the transmission. I'm sure that's going to be low, power steering, all that good stuff. Also, hopefully the transmission frickin' works. I think the timing's a little advanced. Gotta get creative. I cannot reach the throttle and pull it wide open. There we go. Come on, baby. I think we need more battery and a little bit more starter. Booster pack's hooked up. Let's see if it cranks a little faster and fires up. Come on, baby. Let's get the throttle hammer out. Great success. Clearly this carburetor needs a rebuild. Let's throw this 1405 Mojo Craft rebuilt Edelbrock on there and see if this one runs a little bit better. Let's try carb number dos. Here goes nothing. Slingshot, engage.
Slingshot engaged.
Probably flooded out from before. Let's get the throttle hammer. Oh yeah, a lot crisper. Idling. We got no oil pressure though. We got a little coolant coming out of the overflow, otherwise no leaks. Straight pipe is a bit aggressive. Heck yeah, she's idling about 1500 RPM. Tack's working.
We did not get our brake light to go out. Let's check the tranny fluid while we got it running. It's alive! Yeah. Let's put her in gear, see what happens. We got reverse. How about brakes? Maybe not so much. Hey, the tranny works, but you gotta bleed some brakes or do something, because you should be able to stop that thing, and they don't feel that great either, so. Hopefully it's something simple, because it's all new parts. I believe we're ready to finally try and drive this thing to at least back it off this wildfire lift that it's been parked on for a month and a half. You'll notice I put some new wheels and tires on it. Had to see how slots looked. I got 15 by 8.5s on the back and 15 by 7s on the front with 275 60 15 Cooper Cobra white letters in on the rear and 245 60s on the front. You know why I got those? Because those other ones were all dry rotted. I really like the look of the 5 spokes and the old school white letter. Maybe we'll find something for it. But anyway, these tires are what I had laying around, and they're a whole lot better shape. And I kind of dig the way it looks with slots, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's see if this thing will fire back up, move under its own power, stop, steer, all that good stuff. Don't disappoint me now, poor Vette. We got no cranky crank. Brakes work. Sounds like a grain truck. Everything seems to be working pretty good. Put a little power steering fluid in it because that wasn't working that great. I'm not saying that it's going to come back, but it was low. But anyway, we got a little stance issue going on here, so we're going to go ahead and adjust the camber. You got to put the weight on them, and then you got to roll them back and forth. And this one's way off, so we're going to adjust those lower camber rods, what we're going to call them. The camber adjustment, we're going to get those things straightened. I know it looks really cool like that, but these Cooper Cobras, we want to keep them in good condition. We don't want to wear them out just on the inside. We want to wear them out all the way around. So let's go ahead and adjust those real quick, and then we'll get this sucker on the road. Also, I have no idea what I'm doing. Well, instead of positive, we got negative, so we'll roll it back and forth a couple times. See what we got. Some fine art to this, like everything Corvette, no doubt. Yo, fan pulleys, probably no bueno. I'm guessing the water pump's probably real good too. Pretty sure it'll already kill DBs. Corvette guys now, Duff. I really don't like the angle of the park brake over here. I feel like it should sit flat, but it sits up a ways. Must be the way that they are. Does the cigarette lighter work, Duff? We'll go find out. What else is in here? Oh, keys. Knobs for the radio that we don't have. Is that a 25-cent stamp? Nope, no cigarette lighter. It's pretty much rusted out though. Imagine that. Ugh. Ready to do vet stuff, Duff? Should probably keep an eye out for a starter. I did retard the timing a bit. That should help the starter life. The brake light is still on. The proportioning valve was super rusty, and that is what triggers the light. So I feel like we need a proportioning valve. Hey, the fuel gauge kind of looks like it came up, but I feel like it should be higher than that since I put 6 gallons in. It's at like 1/8 of a tank. I feel like 6 gallons should be, you know, at least a quarter, maybe over half. This 400 runs way too good for what the thing looked like when we got it. There's definitely some shims that go in the trailing arms that ours were rusted out, so we need some of those. I do have the shims on order, and I got exhaust tips on order, so hopefully we can make this thing not sound like a grain truck. Steering is still a little sticky. These things have a terrible power steering RAM assist setup, so maybe something to do with that. It's like $1,000 to convert it over to something different. It's chewing into the belts a little bit, the pulleys, so we might have to get some pulleys. The pulleys are Corvette only. They got a deeper groove, you know, for the high RPM Corvette stuff. So that's why I didn't have a direct replacement pulley. But of course you can buy them, but you got to pay the Corvette tax, like $100 a piece. But such is life. Costs a lot of money to look this cool. It is a little chilly today, so I got the hood up. It's not quite stocking hat season, but the hood feels nice and cozy. Fuel gauge did go down to 0 now. Speedo's working. Ooh, the 355 posi really digs. The 400's got some snort. The 400 tranny. It's shifting into second, so maybe it's all right. We haven't puked the rear end out or torn the frame in half, so that's good. Orange line at $5,000, red line at $5,250. First, second. I never did check the transmission fluid again. There's third. We got all 3 gears. Sweet. Temp gauge, I think we just gotta hook that wire up. It's got an amp gauge, so I don't really care if that works. We did do the magnet test on the back of the alternator, and it appears that that is working, charging. Oil pressure, I don't know what's going on there. We got no oil pressure. It's got a plastic line, so that should go away. Put a copper line on it. I mean, we got a tack. We got a speedo. It says we're doing 90 miles an hour, and we haven't caught the school bus that just pulled out in front of me, so I feel like that is incorrect. We got a Toyota Camry coming around us, so maybe we are doing 90 mile an hour. But yeah, it cruises pretty good, pretty straight for clapped out, rusty front end and homemade rear end and homemade alignments. We didn't even do any alignment on the rear. We just eyeballed it, I guess. But yeah, we got to put those shims in there because the wheels messes with the toe in. So when I let off, it kind of wants to turn. Independent rear suspension things. Well, it's kind of fun to do because I've never really messed with independent rear suspension, so it was a new challenge. Why does it say we're doing 90? It says we're doing about 95. The app on my phone says 60, so she's a bit off. Got a couple rattles in the cab, but I think if we put some exhaust on it and throw a radio in here, this thing would be a good cruiser. I really don't want to sell this thing, but we got to put a price in the video description. I will tell you, I kind of paid up for this car, but go find a steel bumper Corvette in this type of condition. They're hard to find. I did see a 69, what is it, a 427 car listed for $99,000. I got it way cheaper than that. And of course you guys saw what was going on there. I think this car will be just fine. I mean, if you really wanted to get crazy and throw a frame under it, you could also do that. I have no idea what the condition of the bird cage is. It's probably rusty, but I don't know. I don't care. Everyone's gonna comment, oh, you can't do anything with that car because the bird cage is blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna drive it. I'm gonna do C3 Corvette stuff with it, and we'll see if, you know, if it flexes, if the glass cracks, if the doors come open, if I die in a wreck, all the bird cage stuff. I can't wait to see all the comments. Bird cage, bird cage, bird cage down below. We'll see. See if she's got some giddy up and go. Kind of feels like the points are floating. Or the valves. And the throttle is sticking. We don't have an air cleaner on it. I don't know if we can get one on it because with the spacer to the Edelbrock, then you gotta have a spacer for the frickin' air cleaner. I don't know if we'll get one to clear the hood. We'll figure it out. If we gotta put a quadrajet back on it or if we gotta swap intakes, we will find a way. Well, that kind of sucks that the throttle's sticking. That doesn't make it much fun for doing, you know, Corvette stuff. But I guess this one's not a race car. This one's a cruiser. She's a sports car. I suppose we could put a Pertronics in that distributor. That's the thing with this cable-driven tachometer. You're kind of married to a distributor like that. I'm sure you could pay big bucks and buy an electronic distributor with that cable drive, but you could just give up your tach and throw a HEI in there. But what fun would that be? It's kind of got cruise control with the whole throttle sticking actuation. That's the other thing, is we don't have full throttle. The cable doesn't pull the carburetor all the way wide open, so you know we got the restrictor plate installed on the old C3 Corvette, so we're not going to get too crazy with it. Also, with those trailing arms being the way they are, I really don't want to. I don't know what we would hurt, but I don't want to hurt the rear end or the driveline because I'm an idiot. Which it shouldn't matter on the driveline because the driveline should stay the same. It's gonna be the two drive shafts going from the center section out. That's what we could screw up. We don't want to do that either. If it was DB's car, we would be actively trying to demolish it. But since it's mine, we better not. If you just burp it, it comes out of it. It's fine. All right, folks, there you have it. The Duff Dog and I took this 1972 Corvette that was super rotten. We picked it up on Facebook Marketplace. We drug it home. We back-halved it. We put some awesome wheels on it. We put some terrible exhaust on it. We found a bunch of other things wrong, but guess what? This thing runs and drives actually pretty decent. We only got to spend about 2 more months of piddling around, doing odd job things like fixing the exhaust and dialing in the carburetor and the ignition and stereo and fixing the valance and all that good stuff. And we should have a pretty stinking sweet car. Thank you very much for watching. Go check out the merch at mortske.com. We got some brand new banners hot off the press. If you can't weld good, weld a lot. Get yours at mortske.com. We also got beanie caps, ball caps, crew necks, hoodies, t-shirts, magnetic screwdrivers, magnetic can koozies for the oncoming drinking outdoor season. Go check it out, mortske.com. Thank you very much for watching. Check out the other videos, and remember, it doesn't matter how you get it done, so long as you are having fun. I can't wait to have so much fun in my Corvette. Yeah, we got to sell some merch so that I can buy the fancy New Balance shoes and the fanny pack and the jackets and t-shirts and all that. Please don't send me any jean shorts or Corvette apparel because I'll probably have to wear it. So don't send me any Corvette stuff. But remember, it doesn't matter how you get it done, as long as you're having fun. On to the next one. Duff, go for a ride? What do you think of Corvettes? Yeah, that one. You like them? No? Who loves the Corvettes? Who loves the Corvettes? Yes, Duffy does. Screw you, Corvette. Hold on, let me just fall out of it. We should definitely lower it so that it's easier to get in and out of.
It's even turned on. Look at that.
You missed. That was an armpit.